Harvey Weinstein has been forced out of the film company he co-founded after a series of sexual harassment allegations against him emerged per Variety. The statement in light of new information about misconduct by Harvey Weinstein that has emerged in the past few days. The directors of the Weinstein Company, Robert Weinstein, Lance Marov, Richard Koenigsberg and Tarak Ben-Ammar, have determined, and have informed Harvey Weinstein, that his employment with the Weinstein Company is terminated, effective immediately. The White House issued hardline border enforcement demands Sunday night that it said must be included in any deal to allow Dreamers to remain in the U.S. The priorities include tougher enforcement of immigration law on the border, construction of the border wall, more efforts to deport illegal immigrants who overstay their visas, and legislation that would create a merit-based immigration system instead of allowing immigrants with family connections. Why it matters. These are the terms the administration is proposing in exchange for legislation on Dreamers. Democrats are already saying Trump can't serious, and that they won't consider supporting a deal that includes wall funding. Go deeper. Here's the full administration proposal, as posted by CNN. If there's another Trump-Schumer conversation, and this isn't just a one-off, the president has to figure out if he really wants to take repeal off the table. If he does, the GOP base blows up. But if he doesn't, it's not surprising that Schumer calls it a non-starter. Even if Trump did decide to take repeal off the table, and just stabilize the Affordable Care Act, there's nothing remotely easy about reaching a healthcare deal with the Democrats. Republicans would have to get something out of it. At a minimum, Republicans want states to be able to cut back the ACA's rules on what has to be covered. They think that's the key to making health insurance less expensive. But for Democrats, that's just a backdoor way of undermining coverage of pre-existing conditions. Example: if they let states cover fewer benefits, like, say, not making them cover prescription drugs, then those are benefits that sick people won't get. So even if you say people with pre-existing conditions are still covered, they wouldn't have as much coverage as they do now. Democrats will be under a lot of pressure to oppose that. This is where Senators Lamar Alexander and Patty Murray are stuck in trying to negotiate their deal. Murray has offered smaller concessions, but nothing that would interest most Republicans. Bottom line, if Alexander and Murray can't get past that roadblock, two people who really know the details of the healthcare law, how is Trump going to cut his own deal with Schumer, since policy details aren't really his thing? Why this matters. Bannon once said he successfully weaponized a human being in Matt Boyle. So Boyle's stories are a useful guide for what Bannon and his outside groups, funded by billionaires like the Mercers, are planning. Here are the races and candidates Boyle teases as part of Bannon's push to support America First. Candidates in congressional and gubernatorial races nationwide. Rep. Marsha Blackburn for the open Senate seat in Tennessee vacated by Bob Corker. Attorney General Patrick Morrisey against the establishment favorite Evan Jenkins in the West Virginia Republican primary. Matt Rosendale against John Tester in Montana. State Attorney General Josh Hawley in the Missouri primary to challenge Democrat Sen. Claire McCaskill. Danny Tarkanian against Dean Heller in Nevada. Kelly Ward against Jeff Flake in Arizona. Chris McDaniel against Roger Wicker in Mississippi. Gov. Rick Scott in Florida's Senate race. Scott Hasnt announced whether or not he's running. Roy Moore, who already beat Luther Stranger in Alabama. State Treasurer Josh Mandel in Ohio Senate race. Blackwater founder Eric Prince, who Bannon is encouraging to run against John Barrasso in Wyoming. NYT broke that he was considering running. Ann Lepage, the wife of Maine Gov. Paul Lepage, to challenge independent Sen. Angus King. Like Scott, Lepage Hasnt made her intentions clear. Jared and Ivanka have been working with the White House Office of Legislative Affairs to host dinners with Democratic and Republican members of Congress at their home in the upscale D.C. neighborhood of Kalorama. The dinners, which have been going on for months but have been ramping up more recently, have focused on a range of policy issues, and have yet to result in any substantive leaks. Capitol Hill sources told me that last Tuesday night, 4 senators visited Shade Ivanka to talk about criminal justice reform. 1 Republican senator, Mike Lee, and 3 Democrats, Dick Durbin, Sheldon Whitehouse, and Amy Klobuchar. A source with knowledge of the event told me a handful of White House officials also attended, including Reed Cordish, a friend of Kushner's and assistant to the president, as well as White House Staff Secretary Rob Porter. Between the lines, Kushner describes his role in the administration as helping solve problems that should be above partisan politics, improving government systems, brokering peace in the Middle East, and shepherding through criminal justice reform. Some administration officials privately complain he is naive, entitled, and unqualified for such transcendent challenges. Meanwhile, Republicans and Democrats on the Hill tell me he keeps pushing for bipartisan wins. While last week's dinner matters over the last week, Congress has shown the first signs of movement on criminal justice reform in more than a year, with 2 bills being introduced. Kushner is especially passionate about this issue, even though Attorney General Jeff Sessions favors a tough-on-crime approach. Kushner recently convened a criminal justice roundtable at the White House, where attendees said he spoke about his personal interest in the issue. Kushner said he got a first-hand taste of the challenges of the criminal justice system when his father, Charles Kushner, was sentenced to 2 years in prison after pleading guilty to tax evasion. Silicon Valley startup Chowbotics, which develops robots for food services, is out with Sally the Salad Robot, a machine that stores chopped veggies and churns out made-to-order salads, per NYT. Against protests by chefs that Sally will kill jobs, inventor and founder Deepak Sarkar asserts that the robot will create new positions, for example to maintain and clean the machines. Why you'll see this again. Whatever the potential impact on jobs and society, Silicon Valley robotic startups are attracting large rounds of capital. Chowbotics has raised $6.3 million in venture capital, and Zame, a company offering robot-made pizza, recently raised $50 million. Go deeper. Americans just don't fear the rise of robots. Mike Pence left an Indianapolis Colts game today because of national anthem protests, then released this statement update. President Trump tweets that it was his idea. I asked at VP Pence to leave stadium if any players kneeled, disrespecting our country. I am proud of him and at Second Lady Karen. Key issue: the deficit where things stand. Corker, who has had a sudden burst of candor since announcing his intention to retire after this term, recently had this to say on the GOP tax plan: unless it reduces deficits, let me say that one more time, unless it reduces deficits and does not add to deficits, I don't have any interest in it. Corker is also the latest senator to incur Trump's Twitter wrath, after Trump said he lacks guts. Corker said the White House has become an adult daycare center. Key issue: regular order where things stand. After a brain cancer diagnosis, McCain returned to the Senate floor and implored his colleagues to get back to regular order, lambasting the closed-door drafting of the skinny repeal plan. He then voted no, and killed the repeal effort. The senator was a no on the second GOP attempt as well, again calling for regular order. Trump went after him on Twitter, but McCain brushed it off. Key issue: bipartisanship where things stand. Collins was among the first to come out against both GOP attempts to pass healthcare legislation. She called for a bipartisan effort to fix the Affordable Care Act rather than outright repeal. Trump tweeted that Collins, along with her colleagues McCain and Sen. Lisa Murkowski, let the American people down after healthcare failed in the Senate over the summer. Collins is a blue state senator, and is considering a run for governor, so she has less incentive than most of her colleagues to get in line behind Trump. Worth noting, Murkowski opposed Trump on healthcare, and Sen. Rand Paul helped kill the second attempt at ACTA repeal, but Murkowski has been far less vocal in her opposition, and Trump has a better relationship with Paul. Ahead of the most recent healthcare vote, he tweeted, I know Rand Paul and I think he may find a way to get there for the good of the party. Corker was indeed in the running for Secretary of State, and introduced Trump at a rally in March, speaking glowingly of him at that time. But he's been increasingly frustrated with Trump, particularly over a number of foreign policy moves and statements. Why it matters: Corker is retiring, but not until January 2019. Until that time he's free to vote however he sees fit, and challenge Trump whenever he feels it necessary. Go deeper. A Corker ally on his thinking.